Awesome. You're in the right place.
Gambling sponsors are now targeting predominantly young men through esports.
Yes.
And today, Riot Games is basically about to make the whole thing much worse. But just so this is in context, this is the same industry that's linked to a 25% rise in US bankruptcy filings. So that's
right.
lovely. And young men in low-income regions are the hardest hit population group. So with that in mind, now we get to talk about how the biggest name in esports has just opened the goddamn floodgates. In short, Riot Games is allowing betting sponsors into League of Legends and into Valorant. And by making this move, they give everyone in esports league a justification to follow. Basically, these companies know exactly who they're reaching. Now, here's the change. Sports betting sponsorships are coming to pro teams in North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Now, Riot first considered this in December 2024, but now the president, John Needham, has published this lovely blog post.
What happened is that the culture has changed. And culturally, what's happened ever since 8 or 7 years ago when sports betting was legalized in America is that betting has become increasingly more normalized, and the inclusion of betting into everyday life has been almost totally seamless. Like, if you're watching sports, apparently, you're constantly getting fed ads for DraftKings. If you're watching any sort of competitive activity, there's some form of betting and gambling that's happening on this. It is massive. It is a gigantic fucking industry. And I would assume that probably trillions of dollars are wagered every single year on sports betting because of it. No one cares if every kid is an addict. Well, like, and that's the thing, is that kids watch sports. Like, I don't think that Riot is really a unique evil for this. Like, if the NBA does it, why are we getting mad at Riot when the NBA does it? I mean, that's my opinion.
What's happening and why they're doing it, plus how they plan to minimize risk. Now, you might be wondering, why now? And their justification is fairly simple. They say the teams have been asking for gambling sponsors for years.
Just real quick. More examples of blue chip brands being an unstable form of sponsorship. If esports and pro gaming wants to rely on outside money, they should embrace porn, gambling, and alcohol sponsors. This is over a month before Riot made this announcement. Everybody knew it. It was obvious.
Thank you. Because it's a lot of money. And audiences are already gambling. And here's the scale. League and Valorant generate 10.7 billion in gambling. But there is a problem.
That's a lot of money.
That problem is that 70% of those bets are happening in unregulated bookies. And the unregulated part is what bothers Riot. Now, they say it's unsafe because people may lose money because these sites can be unscrupulous. And that absolutely is a risk. Of course, the other side is...
No, it's bullshit. They're just doing it so the companies and the teams can still make money, because the teams aren't making money. Esports teams are shutting down all over the place. Esports was a massive bubble, and venture capitalists pumped millions of dollars into it for 10 years, and now the bubble is popped, and people realize that, at least in the West, and this is another big issue, is that in the West, this is true. In the East and in places in South America, it's not true.
You know, people losing absolute humongous amounts of money via traditional gambling, working as intended. Here's the basic logic they're using. So, you know how teenagers will be tempted to drink alcohol? So you might think it's better to give them something light under supervision rather than have them, I don't know, drink Tesco value vodka.
That's exactly what we did in middle school.
Feel somewhere. But the question, right, is that by legitimizing it, by making it more normal, giving it way more exposure, will you reduce the average damage done per individual, but actually cause far more harm overall because you've just went and...
This allowance of having gambling websites will cause the amount of suicides that happen because of gambling to go up. This will happen. Now, again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it, but don't do it and try to hold a moral high ground. People kill themselves over gambling all the time. Now, you could say that's Darwinism and you get what you deserve, but it still happens. Natural selection, sure. But at the same time, it is real.
expanded the market to way more people by making it easier to access. And would that actually
And also, as soon as you introduce people to the world of gambling, you're going to have people that will move to unregulated markets because you've already done the beginning work of getting them into the entire ecosystem in the first place. So this argument defeats itself.
Ran over time, then you'd start to find more really, really bad problem gambling cases, because basically you're going to reach way more people, and that means way more people who could potentially fall into problem gambling. That's certainly my worry, but first, let's take a look at what this will actually look like in esports. A fun thing about this is Riot absolutely knows how this can be bad luck and all of the potential problems, so there is a degree of...
It doesn't matter anymore, because gambling has been socially accepted to the degree that this is normalized. It used to be a big deal, and everybody would hate gambling, but now it's been so normalized, and so many people have been paid off to be okay with it, that it's just the way it is. That's it. Like, they've actually won.
Vision from them.
Straight up.
They will personally vet every single sponsor.
Doesn't
They
matter.
also say they'll make sure that partnered betting services are using Riot-approved data, which will mean that nobody gets actively manipulated. But there is a bit more. Teams are going to have to self-regulate their partnerships, and Riot's going to demand that each team makes an internal integrity program. You know, so that they can investigate themselves. And as for what that's
This is all bullshit.
to be, Riot says, a self...
Like, Riot is making the right call, and if I was Riot, I would also allow gambling sponsors. But them doing all of this is just them trying to look like they have the moral high ground. There is no moral high ground when you're allowing and promoting gambling. People will, guaranteed, people will see the advertisements from the teams that are playing in whatever league tournament that you're looking at. They will see those advertisements. They will go on those websites, and that will be the first step in a long journey that ends in them killing themselves. This will undoubtedly happen. Anybody who thinks that's not going to happen is delusional. And they know it. That's why they're trying to add in all of this extra language. And I understand, like, again, this is the problem. Like, again, you could just say you don't give a fuck. Who cares, right? They kill themselves. Who gives a fuck? Fuck them. That's fine. But Riot doesn't want to do that. So they want to play, oh, well, we still care, and we're going to have all this integrity, and get the fuck out of here. It's obviously what you're doing. Do you want to bet on that? No, because I know I'd win.
Find policy for selecting sponsorships. I don't know, it doesn't seem like the highest bar on the earth to me. Teams can be held to this, though, by Riot and by fans, so you can see why they want to do this. You know, it's kind of like a PR incentive thing. And it's all designed to keep bad actors out of things. And of course, money is going to be trickled down, just like how many gambling policies work.
That's
Riot
correct.
say that they'll take a portion of the revenue, and they say they'll invest that in Tier 2 esports programs. So the implication basically is that these sponsors will become preferred betting partners, and in theory, that's safer than unregulated bookies, and that basically money from all of this is going to go into like the more grassroots side of esports. So really, dear gamer, all of this gambling is in fact good for you. Brackets, it's going to make all of us a shitload of money. But here's the thing.
Yes.
With how Riot are doing this, they are absolutely being cowardly, right? Because they've not fully committed to this. If Riot had have simply said, look, we want sport betting in our league as a part of the financial ecosystem, then they could have said that, you know, maybe just like any other advertising thing. But instead, no. They are hedging their bets. You see, they still insist that gambling is...
Well, they did that because they're afraid of the pushback. They don't know what the sentiment and the feedback from their player base is going to be for this. And so they left themselves a back door in case, or like an exit strategy, in case this had a really big backlash. But it didn't have a big backlash, so they're probably going to full commit on it. That's what happened.
Bad, right? I mean, otherwise, why ensure that it's
checking if the pushback would outweigh the potential gains? Yes, of course.
Not officially connected. And even after vetting, well, just take a look at this. Riot-owned broadcast and social channels have got to stay betting free. That means no ad...
Wait, what does this mean?
Para sa family, ano ang standard mo sa water? Kami, we only trust absolute distilled water kesa ibang brands.
Pag distilled, means dumaan sa mabusising proseso. Kaya sure kaming pure and safe. It gets filtered 3 times, then purified to remove impurities. Tapos distilled. So you get only the purest part of water. May added step pa para safe ang iinumin natin.
If you love them, you won't compromise, di ba?
Yeah, but...
No ads, no sponsored segments. Okay.
Free. That means no ads, it means no sponsored segments from betting partners, and it means no betting partner logos on team jerseys. So that's quite funny when you think about it. It is putting the pressure on everyone else. Official streams, absolutely no gambling. So who's going to get stuck with it? Well, I think the answer is fairly obvious. And we know that it's the team owners who really, really wanted this. So they're going to have to figure out where to put their contractually obligated sponsor content. And almost certainly that means pressure on players.
That's right. Players are going to have to promote these gambling sponsorships a lot. And again, I don't feel bad for them at all. Nobody is entitled to making a living playing League of Legends. If your business model is not financially viable, you have to do something different. That's just the way it is.
Doing things like event co-streams. And those are actually not small numbers. As an example, co-casters of the 2024
They're
World...
already targeting teens? Well, yeah, of course. It's best to target kids because kids are stupid, number one. Number two, if you get kids into the practice of gambling early, then by the time that they're adults, then you can fully take advantage of them and farm them for as much money as possible. It's kind of like, there's a chicken farm or like a cattle farm. Like you don't kill the cattle whenever they're fucking calves. You wait for them to get into cows, you milk them for a while, and then you kill them. Like that's how it works. Yeah, they grow into the market. Yes, that's you literally farm them. Yeah, of course.
Made up 87.
That's why gambling. That's why they keep trying to push gambling to the youngest audience possible. Because that is the audience that will have the least barriers in their mind against it.
500,000 hours, which is 45% of all event streams. So that's actually huge. Now, teams are going to have to walk quite the tightrope here. Basically, they've got to navigate platform policies and local laws. And as they do all of that, Riot will be raking in cash for permitting this. So the takeaway...
Yeah, they will. But when kids realize how bad gambling screws you up from an early age, they might stay away from it in adulthood. That's what happened to me whenever I lost everything multiple times when staking on RuneScape. Yeah, you're definitely right. But do you really think that these companies haven't done research on this? Yeah, I mean, like, grooming works in every single other circumstance, but you think that for some reason gambling, it's not going to work? Really? Did it work for cigarettes? Yeah, it did. That's why they had to outlaw flavored cigarettes, because they were marketed towards children. Yeah, it did.
Is quite a funny one. Riot Games thinks that betting ads are okay, but only if they're from chosen partners, and they don't think they're okay if they've got to advertise it themselves.
Yes.
Say, by a team having a logo on a jersey,
That's right.
and that team going to an event that they broadcast.
I think that they will probably relax this rule once the social pressure against gambling becomes normalized. So they're like easing people into gambling. I think that in 1 year, they won't have the names on the jerseys, but maybe in 5 or 10 years, they will. Because at that point, it will be normalized inside of the space, and that inclusion will not be as dramatic. So this, yeah, you're doing it in stages in order to make people not get upset. Because they're managing their own PR at the same time. This is what I would do if I were them.
Just quite weird, and it does look rather cowardly, like they're kind of trying to have it both ways.
If
it doesn't seem convincing to you, well, it doesn't seem convincing to me, and I don't think it should to either of us.
Still have names in a
It's
year?
no surprise that the public reaction here has been absolute skepticism at every level. So with it looking so strange, why would Riot and these teams think that this is the way forward? The answer is very, very simple.
Money.
Guaranteed money.
Money,
Who doesn't
yes.
want some guaranteed money? Essentially, esports groups have not really had that much guaranteed money lately. The esports winter started ages ago, and it's still
This is
happening.
2022.
We're seeing layoffs, we're seeing closures. Now, Saudi Arabian wealth has somewhat helped because, you know, they want to do some...
And you also have Saudi Arabia. These are all these... I wonder if Tracer is gay in Saudi Arabia. I bet she's not. I've got a feeling that she's not. And again, Blizzard Entertainment, one of the most virtue signal companies of the entire world, sent their fucking Overwatch, that is like their prime example of how open-minded and progressive they are, and their inclusion. The Overwatch World Cup is in the Middle East. It's in a country where there are multiple restrictions on being trans, being gay, or doing anything like that. These companies do not care about these social issues if it costs them money. Isn't it ironic? No, it's not. It's obvious. Anybody who thought these companies really cared about them was just a retard.
Gotten the word of it, but when you launder your reputation through sports, it's a very well-known thing. And obviously, Saudi
When these companies have teams of child psychologists to know how to market to a kid, how is that not criminal? Because there's not a law against it. That's why. Saudi Arabia expands its sports washing ambitions to the world of gaming. They are. And they will succeed in this. They already are succeeding. Like, do you remember whenever Miz and Emmy got a bunch of hate in 2021 or 22 for thinking about taking a sponsorship for Saudi Arabia? And, like, everybody was furious at them for it, and then they got bullied out of not doing it? Can you imagine that happening today? I can't. It's because it's been normalized. That's why. And it's going to continue getting more and more normalized every single year. Prince of Saudi Arabia loves esports. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think MBS is great. I mean, he killed like a journalist or something like that. I heard some bullshit about that, but like that's like one guy, right? Overall, I think he's great.
He has got its own ethical concerns. So with all that floating around, basically, this is more consistent revenue from an industry that's desperate to expand and is desperate for consistent revenue. But, of course, this is all happening in a way everybody makes it. That benefits Riot, but does not benefit viewers. How many viewers would never have touched gambling before this? I don't know, but it's...
Well, if the number is the same, then they wouldn't get any gambling sponsors. It's very logical. Advertisers are not going to spend money on something that they're not going to get anything out of. The reason why they're spending money to advertise in League of Legends is because they're going to make money.
Pagod ka na bang matalo dahil sa lag sa Call of Duty? Sa exit lag, tinatanggal mo ang lag at naglalaro ng may pinakamataas na performance. Mag-enjoy ng matatag na koneksyon sa bawat laban at manalo ng walang pagkaantala. Subukan ang exit lag at dalhin ang iyong Call of Duty gameplay sa susunod na level. Mag-subscribe ngayon at laruin ang Call of Duty na parang hindi mo pa nalalaro dati.
With Asana, the enterprise work management platform, tasks and company-wide goals are in one place. So everyone understands how their day-to-day work connects to those goals. And your teams aren't struggling to find the latest plans. Asana, a smarter way to work. Try it for free at asana.com.
Probably a lot, and what Riot have done is they've opened the door for that to happen, right? By normalizing it. And this doesn't even address some of the wider problems. Take a look at all of those gacha-based cosmetics that Riot rolls out, and I'm sure you've seen the headlines, right? Of like $350 to get like the big event skin. Well, funnily enough, a lot of people would say that that's kind of like the same as gambling. I mean,
no, it's not. It is not even remotely close. When you are gambling on skins in a video game, you never have the idea of chasing your losses. Most people gamble because they lose all of their money, and they lose all of their money, and then they try to get more money to get their money back, and then they lose that too, and this happens X amount of times, and then they kill themselves. Gambling in a video game for items is not the same thing fundamentally, because chasing losses is the reason why people kill themselves primarily. Every dollar spent in Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact, or the Riot Gacha boxes, you know you're never getting out of that game. You're never getting it back. You're never getting it out. It's never getting better. It's always going to be like that. That's bleak? No, but it's true, though, right? It's true. So that means it's not as bad. Gambling in video games for items isn't as bad as gambling for real money, because you don't have the ability to make your money back. So there's no ability for you to chase your losses, which is one of the main things that causes people to go into gambling debt and to ruin their lives. That's the reason that it's true? Yeah, of course.
Sure, you can't cash out, but it's probability-based bullshit to get an item that you want. Well, now they would be feeding that sort of audience, one that they're cultivating with all these gacha mechanics, directly into betting companies. Yep. So I feel like if there's people who are going to be problematic with gacha and get themselves into bother, there's probably a lot of crossover with people who will get themselves into gambling bother. Yep. And financial trouble from gambling hits young men in low-income regions the hardest. It's
because they're stupid and they don't know math. And also, they're desperate. The only way that they have to make money in a way that's not completely, like they don't have any education. Like, I mean, again, like if you're living in a poor area, the odds are that you probably don't have access to education. You're probably stupid. You don't understand statistics. You don't get math. And so when your friend tells you that they made money on a gambling website, you don't understand how to contextualize that because you went to a shitty school that couldn't even teach you algebra. That's the way it is. And so it's easier to farm stupid people. That's how it is.
Stuff, right? And studies do suggest that, of course, that is the exact demographic that is also the most likely to bet on esports. Absolutely. The case you can make for this leading to a lot of problems is, I think, pretty compelling. I mean, it's targeting the same group that is...
It's undeniable. It's undeniable. Anybody who's trying to make excuses for this is just doing mental gymnastics. Accept the human sacrifices and enjoy them. Don't try to pretend like they aren't happening.
Proven to show more problem gambling behavior than other groups. And then, of course, there's the risk to athletes themselves. And this is something that's not commonly thought about. Now, of course, esports people, they'll face match-fixing allegations as, in traditional sports. Yep. But now there's an entire new type of hostility for them. Ooh. Because when somebody loses a bet on one of these sites, on the team that promoted that betting site, that anger can now go straight to the players. Blame can go straight to the players. And that's not me speculating. This is the actual experience of athletes in physical sports. And it's one that's gotten far worse with micro-betting and app-based gambling that just, make it far easier to engage in all that shit. Here's a really fun quote. A December study by 4 of the biggest tennis federations in the world found that angry gamblers were responsible for nearly half of the 12,000 abusive social media...
There's no way it's only half. There's no way. I bet it's like 95%. There's no way it's only half? Get out of here.
Media posts directed at tennis players that year. So that's, not great. And all of this is before we talk about how gambling changes the culture. And of course, in this context, it does. Changing the culture around our games. And that, of course, can hurt how our games are made and designed. We can begin this whole game gambling thing with the very obvious black market of CSGO skins, right? So skin gambling is already fairly entrenched. But these companies, they crave something more. They crave legitimacy. And Riot Games just gave them that.
That's true.
You see, gambling groups and online casinos have tried to break into gaming.
Bro, he's up to 6,000 to spend? Oh my god. Jesus. 6,000 to spend? That's insane!
for years and years and years. And we've seen this in many ways, like say press sites getting flooded with sponsored post offers. I actually get loads of sponsored post offers from similarly...
He won $37 million. Now he's only 50 million down.
Etchy shit that, of course, I decline because I don't want to promote gambling to people. But the whole point in all of this is about normalizing the advertising of gambling, right?
Yep.
Getting it in front of an audience who are familiar with the idea of playing
6K
odds.
spin is insane. It is.
And we can take a look at this already happening. For one, The Escapist immediately began running ads after being sold. And those ads included best offshore casinos for US players.
Ah, how about that? Wow, what a surprise. Who could have expected this?
I am overburdened.
Besides everybody.
And best online casinos in the US. Lovely stuff. Meanwhile, Aftermath covered the Adventure Games Forum sale. This is wild. 20 years of archives were purged, but do you know what was added? Gambling coverage with advertising. Lovely. So, it's not about the games. It's not about gaming culture. It's about getting gambling in front of more eyes. So it's normalized. Right. That's one piece of the puzzle. Get more people to see gambling in the context of gaming.
And this is also another big issue, is that normalizing behavior is really important. Like, so there's another example of this is like Twitch streamers with advertising. So with advertising and doing sponsored streams, doing a sponsored stream used to be worse than saying the N-word. But now I think it's so normalized that nobody cares. It doesn't even matter anymore. And so, like, if you normalize it enough, it becomes just the way it is. It's the same as having ads on the internet now. Tell us what stops you from gambling. I just think it's rigged, and so like that's it. And yeah, that's, I mean, like, you have a machine, the machine never runs out of money, but the people always run out of money. Huh? How? Come on.
Piece of the puzzle? Well, that's to make it legitimate. To make it legitimate, to make it feel legitimate, you gotta get someone like Riot on board. And that is exactly what Riot have been seemingly happy to do. Okay, I'll turn the focus back to Riot now.
I don't think that they wanted to do this. I think that they had to do this in order to maintain their esports program. Because the esports teams probably can't make any money, and they have to effectively turn to the dark side. You tried selling potatoes, it didn't work. You tried selling cheese, not that much cheese. You tried selling hamburgers, McDonald's was better. But have you ever tried selling crack? There's where the money is. Oh, yeah.
We've extensively covered Riot's financial concerns, and because of all that, we do kind of know why they're approving this now. Teams, of course, need to survive the esports winter. That's very important for Riot.
It's not a winter, because a winter is a season. This is the beginning of the end. Western players and Western culture doesn't accept esports in a big way. There's no like, the idea of a winter means that spring will come. There's no reason to expect spring will ever come.
Right, it's important to the whole business model, the culture around their game, the culture that drives all those skin sales. Now, of course, Riot gets a cut of that.
What about Asia? I'm not talking about Asia.
But they're not comfortable with this decision, or else they wouldn't have framed it as being a risky thing. They wouldn't have banned it.
No, they are comfortable with the decision. They are worried about the PR from the decision.
From official streams. They also know the players won't like it.
And they will also probably reverse part of this as it becomes normalized inside of the space over time, because other companies, now that other companies see Riot doing it, now they're going to do it. And I'll give you a great example. A lot of people didn't like going to Kick. They didn't like the idea of going to Kick. Then I went to Kick. I joined right here. You gotta stroke his ego. This isn't the ego, this is just the truth. You could say you kick things into high gear. Tectone was first. Tectone was first. That's true. You're right. And so anyway, so you jumped on the bandwagon? Yes, I could see that things were changing, and I thought it was the right option, and I knew that me going would not negatively affect me, and I knew that doing it was the right decision for my stream, and I thought that it would change the way that people viewed the website, and I was right about all of those things.
It anyway, and now the
everybody's
floodgates
doing
are very much opened because every
Yep.
competitive esports scene, from the perspective of financial incentives, they all want these sponsors to get a green light.
That's right.
And if this is happening with Riot, right? If Riot can get comfortable and take the flak for being a bit of a first mover, then
Yes.
smaller groups will also move.
Of course.
And that means we are going to be looking at a very different industry in a few years. And frankly, it's an industry that is shown to be a true parasite. And it's one of those things, look, adults can spend money on whatever the hell they want. Sure, right, I absolutely get that. But I think there is a concept that you need to keep in mind whenever we're sort of making like libertarian rooted arguments. And that is the simple concept of an unpriced negative externality. The point essentially being that, say, gambling, right? That leads to a whole bunch of social problems. Those social problems then, guess what? Cause problems in the community. Now that can mean that the state has got to...
I think you're wrong about League's money. They funded all their games just from League. Valorant's a dead game. TFT's carrying itself. All the other projects are just off of League. The teams making money. I'm talking about the teams making money, not the company making money.
spend money because it furthers a whole bunch of bad outcomes. Obviously, there's problems within families, problems in the community. Now, that is something that we all pay a price for. Do you know who does not really pay a price for that? The gambling companies. It is.
Well, they do, because they lose a person. There's a guy, he used to gamble every day. He'd gamble all of his money, and then one day he kills himself. Well, fuck. Now he's not gambling anymore. What are we going to do? We got to get a new one.
Nice negative externality.
Will somebody think about the gambling companies?
So it's one of those things. Freedom to gamble. Positive freedom. That's one thing. But what about freedom from all of the negative bullshit that stems from gambling, that gambling companies inflict upon us, but do not pay for themselves? What do you think about that? And I mean that in a genuine, open way. Do let me know in the comments. And if you want another video, and a nice, spicy, legal one, what's next?
Game price manipulation exposed? Really, I would have never guessed. Look at the Valorant player count. It's not dead. I don't even know how to check the player count for that game. I have no idea. Golfer don't sponsor gambling, and they only make money if they're good. If a team can't make money, that's because they suck. I thought there was a massive golfing apparatus that's in Saudi Arabia or the Middle East. Oofy, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's my understanding, is that there's a huge amount of golfing in the Middle East. I mean, that's not necessarily gambling, but it's other stuff too, right? Sponsor? Yeah, Live Golf. Yeah, Live Golf. Yeah, exactly, right? And so, like, there's a video. Make sure to give Belluar a like on this. I feel like, again, I covered this when it first happened. And so, yeah, this is what's going to keep happening. What real casinos do is they have rewards programs that actually give people money to gamble, free hotel rooms, and other incentives. Yeah, I know that. Like, XQC, bro, like, I guarantee you. I think he even said this. It doesn't matter where he is in the world. If he says, I need to go to Caesar's Palace, a private jet goes to his location and drops him off at the door. Okay? Yes, absolutely. They will do whatever they need to do to get him back in Caesar's motherfucking palace. If this means the penthouse suite, then that's what's going to happen. Hospitality, that's what's going to happen. Free food, 100%. You know it. Big customer, exactly, right? No one in his business is losing money. Somebody's paying for all that. Yeah, 100%. Gambling should be allowed, but it's poor people tax. I think that, again, so this is my viewpoint with a lot of things. I think the world would be a better place if nobody did recreational drugs besides maybe marijuana. I think it would be a better place if nobody drank alcohol. I think it would be a better place if nobody gambled ever. All of these things, I think, are net negatives to society. But I would not make them against the law. Because people have the right to fuck their lives up. The world would be a better place if nobody smoked cigarettes. And women voting? Well, I said that, right? Didn't I? Of course I said that. Yeah, I probably said that 7 times today. And anyway, maybe 19 times. And needed evil. Yeah, what about medicinal cocaine? I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm very good at fucking my life up. Yeah, I guess so. Alcohol kept people alive during famines for years. Yeah, but like, are we really going to talk about that? And like, do you really think that's what I'm talking about? Like, why are you even bringing that up? You know that's not what I'm talking about. You know that's not the point I'm trying to make. Why would you even bring that up? And so anyway, yeah. Is poker gambling? Thanks. You can gamble on poker. I mean, poker isn't gambling fundamentally. No, you can play poker without gambling. Absolutely, you can. But you can also play poker and gamble at the same time. Poker is not fundamentally gambling. No, obviously it's not. Everybody knows that. So, yeah, that's basically it. And so, yeah, perfectly capable of fucking up our lives without those things? Yeah, I mean, I certainly have been. And so anyway, you can gamble on anything? Yeah. You won't see Visa and MasterCard stepping in for this because gambling is good for children. Well, it's because it's too big. Let's ban video games are dangerous for people. What about gambling adverts? Oh, those are fine. They do no harm. So about protecting the kids? They don't care about this. And also, gambling is such a big business, it's normal. Normalization of gambling in society as a whole is a net negative. The only thing that, I mean, again, like, there's really no positive to this at all. I mean, I do think that, like, if you gamble and you lose all of your money, I really don't feel bad for you. Like, I don't have any sympathy to people that gamble. And I don't have sympathy to people that get addicted to drugs either. I just don't. Like, I mean, everybody knows crack is bad for you. Everybody knows not to do heroin. Now, like, if you get addicted to it through, like, a pharmaceutical and then, you know, they take it away from you and you turn to, like, getting addicted because of, like, off-market stuff, that's obviously not what I'm talking about. But, like, in general, if you start doing illegal drugs, everybody knows that illegal drugs are bad for you. If you do them, that's your fault. You've decided to do this to yourself. Nobody has done this to you. You have decided to do it. It's the same as gambling. You have decided to gamble. Nobody made you gamble. Nobody forced you into gambling. You decided to do it. And if you don't agree with that, you're not helping the people that are victims. Telling them that it's not their fault does not help them, and it doesn't make their life better at all. It's a choice, and you're still a victim. Maybe the drug, your friends or doctor, maybe yourself. You do it to yourself doesn't mean you're a piece of shit and deserve it. I didn't say you deserved it. When did I say you deserved it?
Overburdened.
I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that you did it to yourself. If you are addicted to something, there was a point in time where you made a bad decision to probably become addicted to it. Where, obviously, after you're addicted and you have a chemical dependency on something, clearly, that's not always your fault, right? But getting there is. Taking that first step is. You did that to yourself.
Travel with family or buddy. Discover more than 4.5 million hotels and homes with Agoda. See the world for less. Book now.
Laging drained? Pharmaton Energy Plus. Powered by ginseng, plus 40 vitamins and minerals that are important for the production of energy. Pharmaton Energy Plus. Mahalagang paalala, ang Pharmaton Energy Plus ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Impossible. I am overburdened.
Thanks.
So I did say I would play this game. It just came out earlier today. Gentlemen. Let's get this bitch open. Let's try it out. I have not played this shit at all. I went into the training mode just to make sure that I could, I knew what was happening. So the Battlefield open beta has begun. Are you being sponsored to play this? I am not being sponsored to play this. Although I'm So I did say I would play this game. It just came out earlier today. Gentlemen. Western game. This is really sad, bro.
So I'm very much a homebody. Almost embarrassingly so. And weekends are when I have the most time to dive into whatever game I'm currently playing through. Up until about 3 weeks ago, that was Clair Obscur, which, yes, I finally beat. But this weekend was no different.
The best game
It's midnight on Friday night, and I'm working my way through Stellar Blade while my half-started copy of First Berserker Kazan is staring at me from my backlog. And as I was running around Zion,
Bro, is this Infinity Nikki? Tell me right now, is this Infinity Nikki? I want to let you guys know that I've never seen the game, and I automatically knew what game it was because every gacha game is copy-pasted from each other, and the hearts as the fucking screen here. I've never seen a single image of gameplay of this ever.
Just clicked. Both of these games have super fun, fluid combat. Both have very attractive protagonists.
They do.
Both nail that one more try addiction.
You want to know what's really sad, guys? Is that in high school, I wanted to grow my hair out to be like this. It's bad, bro. It's real bad.
keeps you glued to your screen, and they're both Korean made. As I realized
sucks, right?
It hit me.
Yeah.
When Korean developers quietly start dropping all these bangers. I started looking into it, and I guess this has just gone completely under my radar, but developers from China and Korea, places that
with Korean games, the characters are hot, the gameplay is good, but the game's pay to win. Impossible. That's the way it works.
Historically haven't made double or AAA titles have really been knocking it out of the park
they have
lately.
been.
And obviously Japan has always had their share of home runs too. But these days, with how expensive games are becoming and with how awful some of our choices are, this really means a lot. We're naturally gravitating towards the games that respect our time and money, and over the past couple years, Eastern developers have been pulling us in like a black hole. And I'm loving it. It's no secret
there's another one too, right? And like this new game came out, Wu Chang Fallen Feathers came out kind of recently. Let me see if I can pull it up. This game is actually, it sold very, very well as far as I know. It had a peak of 131,000 players.
It is an honor to serve you.
So this is a brand new one that just came out that has that level of success. It's ass. I don't think it's ass. I think it's pretty good.
Elden Ring and the Soulsborne formula have inspired many of these Eastern developers. And how could they not? Elden Ring was a cultural phenomenon, and yes,
all the negative reviews are from performance primarily, and they're completely deserved, and the performance in the game sucks massive dick.
Gamers claim Souls-like fatigue, but I think that fatigue only happens when the games are bad. So just like what Mr. Gunn said, it's really just bad game fatigue.
That's exactly, she's totally right about that. And also Souls-like games, the entire idea of something being Souls-like, I feel like there are a lot of games that are action combat games that have checkpoints with refillable healing items that you continuously go through that give you different ways of avoiding damage and fighting monsters and killing bosses. Like Dark Souls wasn't the first game that's ever invented this idea. It's been very common.
The thing though, these Eastern developers saw the genuine love and excitement people had for this genre and thought, we can make something players will love too. Most recently, we saw this with Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. There were optimization issues at launch, but you can still see that this smaller team was genuinely trying to make something they thought would resonate with players. And since launch, they've apologized, they've released patches, and they've even given away in-game loot.
Just fix the performance.
Come on, they're obviously doing their best and working for us. These
guys have got it. You have to optimize these games. Like we've had so many, like Monster Hunter Wilds, Wu Chang, Wukong had a little bit of problems with this too. Like these games need to be optimized.
Game for us, the players, and they want us to enjoy it and love it. That's the difference. Some developers are genuinely trying to make games with us in mind, and others just...
Ever wondered why your skin keeps acting up? Dryness, breakouts, irritation, even with a good routine? The answer might be in your skin's microbiome. Ponds flew us all the way to Thailand for something big, and trust me, it was worth the flight. IMCAS 2025, we got an exclusive first look at the Hydra Miracle Ultralight Biome Gel straight from the Unilever Science Lounge. This ultralight gel is powered by millions of prebiotics and Sera-Hyamino, designed to rebalance your skin's microbiome, that invisible layer above your skin barrier, your first line of defense. Remember, an unbalanced microbiome means a compromised barrier, acne, dryness, and inflammation. But with Pond's Hydra Miracle Ultralight Biome Gel, you're getting stronger, plumper, radiant skin in just 7 days. The texture, ultralight. The results, plump, resilient, glowing skin. From imbalance to skin harmony, that's the Pond's promise.
Aren't. And the crazy
thing...
they're
making games for themselves. That's the problem, is that developers in America make games for themselves. And the issue is that nobody wants to be the average video game developer in America. They would much rather be Puppet, Timothy Chalamet, Wukong, John Souls, Kazan, or, the Jon Snow here in Crimson Desert. That's the reason why.
is that these Eastern developers haven't discovered some secret formula. They're not doing anything new or groundbreaking. They're just getting back to the basics, making games that respect players and want them to have fun. So all of this got me thinking about the state of our industry. What is happening with Western developers and how are they so far behind their Eastern counterparts? Now, before we get into the whole East versus West thing, let's be real. The gaming industry is getting squeezed from every direction. We've now got credit card companies trying to censor gaming content, games disappearing when servers shut down, hence the Stop Killing Games initiative, rising development costs making everyone risk-averse, live service pressure from investors.
It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That's where we're at right now with video games. In my opinion, I think that we are in a golden age of video games, but I think that it is also a gilded age of video games, where we have a massive amount of high-quality games. We are also reducing the amount of freedoms that we have as consumers through live service. We are having an encroaching amount of microtransactions that are being forced into video games, and I think that especially Western AAA video games are recycling the same formulas ad nauseum to the effect that people don't even want to play the games anymore. And so I think there's just been so many of these that have happened that people are just tired of it at this point.
Prioritization of modern ideology over good gameplay.
The consumers allowed it, they did.
And us just paying more than ever for games that we don't actually own. The entire industry is getting hit from all sides. Eastern developers, Western developers, everyone's facing the same stuff one way or another. But how these developers respond is what tells you everything. When faced with the challenges, some developers are doubling down on actually caring about us, the players, because they understand we're the ones who can actually help them succeed, while others have just...
It's also an investment, right? I mean, like these Asian companies are not doing it because they love us or something. They're doing it because they think it's the best option for their business. And what they're learning is that they're right. That's the issue, is that these developers in China and Korea and Japan, their goal is to sell copies of a video game. And developers in America specifically, their goal is to send a message. And sorry, one of those things is just simply, and also the problem is that the message sucks. It's some weird, contrived, it's basically like a fat 15-year-old goth girl's imagination of what if everything that she thought was right and her parents were wrong about everything else. That's basically it.
Stopped listening to us entirely. So let's do a little dissecting of what the West has been up to. Now, be warned. It's a little bit depressing, but don't worry, we'll get through it together. And then we'll look at how Eastern developers are truly here to save the day and how not all hope is lost. Going back through gaming history...
And this is another reason why it's great to have a global economy, is that because Western developers effectively had, for a very... I think Wukong, there were 2 points of massive breakthrough. The first point was Genshin Impact, because that was the first gacha game that broke into the American Western audience in a big way. And then the second point was Black Myth Wukong. Because at the beginning, they said, okay, we can at least get people to play gacha games. And then Wukong comes out, and they said, we can at least get people to play AAA quality, fucking insane single-player games that are made with our culture and our style. Lost Ark as well? Yeah, Lost Ark was a little bit. Yes, those were the games that genuinely penetrated the Western market and made way for all of the other games to come out and be successful. And I think that it's very obvious that you're seeing all of these other games coming out of China as a response to Black Myth Wukong. And I think if Black Myth Wukong didn't sell the way that it did, you would not be seeing those games.
Such a bummer, because there was a time when Western AAA developers actually worked to make games with us in mind. You could truly feel that they really cared about what we wanted. Remember Assassin's Creed 2? Ubisoft spent years reconstructing Renaissance Italy with historian-level accuracy, all while giving us a beloved protagonist and story that made you care about the world even more. It wasn't just for profit or to push some agenda. The team behind the game clearly had pure love and passion for what they were making, gaming, and it was obvious that they wanted the players to enjoy it. BioWare used to obsess over connecting with players. They'd spend months, years, perfecting conversation systems and Mass Effect and Dragon Age because they understood that's how we bond with the characters. Thousands of lines of dialogue, branching narratives that actually mattered. It was all because they knew that's what their players would love.
Exactly.
And Rockstar, their track record speaks for itself.
They do, and there's no reason to think that GTA 6 is going to suck. I hope it doesn't.
GTA, Red Dead Redemption, they are making games 100% catering to the player's experience, which is why I'm really hoping GTA 6 doesn't disappoint. But across the board, going back through gaming history, there are so many examples of games that were made by people who wanted to bring players joy. You could feel the love in every mechanic, every system, every decision. Western AAA gaming was in its golden age. So what happened? Well, looking at the state of the industry right now, it's clear that so many studios have replaced respect and passion with greed, contempt, laziness, and just...
That's what's really weird to me too, is that there's so many people that work on these Western game studios that actively hate gamers. In what other industry would this make any sense? If you hate people that eat meat, you shouldn't work in a steakhouse. If you hate people that play sports, you shouldn't work at Academy. It's such a weird paradigm that we have, isn't it? Why would you do that? It's so crazy.
Nonsense. They started shipping broken games at full prices that continued to creep up, cramming in microtransactions and live service monetization, expecting us to pay for unfinished products, then buy the rest as DLC. They've let cultural pressure override what we actually want. Now character designs have to go through committees that are terrified of making anyone attractive or appealing. They prioritize...
Well, they don't want to make anybody mad. Look at what happened with Sydney Sweeney recently. Is that you have a bunch of these fat women that are just mad because there's a thin girl who's attractive that's on the camera, and it's making them feel bad about being 280 pounds.
Poorly executed.
And they're crying, calling American Eagle Nazis and everything like this, and all because they just don't want to be reminded that they're fat. That's the only reason why it's happening.
Modern ideologies over actual compelling narratives and characters. Everything they do at this point is for what the modern audience desires.
Only 280.
But where are they? Where is this audience, and why aren't they buying these games? I mean,
because they never did. It's a fake audience of people on social media that it's kind of like fake fans. And you want to know a game that has a lot of, like, there's a lot of games that have fake fans. Like, for example, I think Metaphor had a lot of fake fans whenever it came out. Most of the people that said that they were big fans of Metaphor didn't beat the game. I'm sorry, but you can't be that big of a fan of a game if you didn't beat the game. South of Midnight? Yeah, South of Midnight is another great example. Is that everybody was saying how good this game was, but nobody came out to buy it. And you want to know what happened to that studio? Well, welcome home. Back to McDonald's. That's it.
Just look at the lineup over the last few years. The Concord team allegedly spent well over their $200 million budget just to make both a game and characters that appealed to no one. And then they shut down after
Literally
2 weeks.
No one.
Dragon Age: The Veilguard was in development for 10 years and is somehow still launched with insanely awkward and lecture-heavy dialogue in a game where dialogue is everything. The Saints Row reboot, with over a $100 million budget, completely ignored fan concerns and just steamrolled ahead to failure, and ultimately the developer's demise. And don't even get me started.
Yeah, of course, because these people don't play video games. Weirdos that dress and act like this don't play video games. That's the thing. If you're making an action combat video game, your audience is Western guys. That's it. Young Western men. And if you don't understand that, you're going to have a lot of problems.
I can't carry Started on Ubisoft, Star Wars Outlaws only sold 1 million copies in its first month, despite their massive...
1 million people bought that game? Oh my god. How?
marketing spend, causing their stock to crash to a 10-year low. Then there's Assassin's Creed Shadows and Skull and Bones. Flop after flop.
Speaking of Skull and Bones.
with these same awful formulas, costing the company over $178 million in losses for the last year. And their CEO keeps making these tone-deaf comments about it all. He can't be stopped. The list goes on and on. Suicide Squad, Redfall. What's the result of all of this? Mass layoffs across the industry. Studios shutting down.
Layoffs are going to happen no matter what because AI is taking over everybody's jobs, and it's allowing people that are very competent to do the jobs of 10 people rather than one person doing that one job.
And these companies bring all of this upon themselves. They cut corners, push low-effort development, and chase that mythical modern audience instead of truly serving the players who are actually supposed to buy their games. Studios that have been around for decades are getting shut down left and right because they followed these awful formulas, prioritizing monetization over quality, ideology over gameplay. There has been so much money wasted. This is basically the state of Western AAA games. Like I said.
And this is the thing, is that like I've tried to push against this and say this, and what I think is really kind of sad is that journalists and other people that are like virtue signalers on the internet have put forward this idea that gamers actually want this type of like weird character design. And what they've done effectively is they've cost all of these people their jobs. These people only care about getting likes on social media for saying the socially acceptable thing. But the reality is that the outcome of that is that studios get shut down and people lose their jobs. That's it.
Depressing. I mean, these are supposed to be some of the best of the best. We're talking millions of dollars here. Massive teams, huge historical successes, and somehow, so many of their recent titles felt like they were made by people who just didn't care. Or at least didn't care nearly enough. And we're at the point now where it's become so easy to recognize that disconnect and the lack of effort. I mean, you can basically tell immediately when you see a new trailer whether or not the game is going to be a hit or a miss. Yes.
Of course. Because nobody wants to look at a character that looks like this. This is clearly not made for the average gamer audience. This is made to appeal to a select group of very radical and very loud activists, basically.
Still looking at you and that beautiful glistening head. But all of this brings us to good news. When you look at what's been happening in the East, the small teams of developers in China and Korea are fighting to put out double and AAA games while facing these same pressures. And so many of them are succeeding. The passion for what they do is shining through. They're fully focused on respecting their audience and giving us, the players, what we want. Fun fact, Black Myth Wukong's team spent 4 years traveling around China to 3D scan real locations out of pure love and authenticity. You can feel how much they cared about the source material, story, and the characters. I love that little Buddha. And they shared that passion with us at every step. And you know what? It worked. Black Myth Wukong cost around $42 million to make and has sold over 25 million copies. That's what happens when players feel like someone actually...
That's what happens when you make a good video game. Can you imagine that? Wow, you make a good game and people buy the game. What the fuck?
I am overly cares about them versus trying to force things on them that they don't want. Stellar Blade gave us a beautiful female lead and calculated physics for every single movement, while refusing to compromise on a 60 FPS. The game launched pretty much bug-free too. That's them caring about our experience, and you can feel it in every animation, and the numbers prove it. Stellar Blade hit 3 million copies sold, with 1 million copies on PC in just 3 days when it launched on Steam. I mean, that's a legit accomplishment, right?
It was a massive accomplishment. The game was very good. I beat the entire thing.
Pretty protagonist and good gameplay really are an unbeatable combo. Another recent one is Lies of P. They took the Souls-like formula.
This was the first Souls-like game that was like legitimately actually really fucking good. Like, I didn't like some of the boss mechanics, but like in general, this is a great game.
And crafted this haunting, twisted, Pinocchio-like world with such attention to detail and polish that showed genuine love for both the fairy tale and the players who love the genre. The market responded, and Lies of P sold over 3 million copies, hitting 1 million in its first month alone.
Holy
and
shit.
This also just gives me a chance to say...
And also, this is how good the game was. It hit its peak viewership, or sorry, its peak player count on its DLC. That is ridiculous.
Eastern developers across the board are not afraid of making games that look good. Attractive, beautiful characters that aren't trying to check boxes, but are just trying to draw the player in and add to their experience and enjoyment. No intentional nerfing of their looks, no agendas, no ulterior motives, no nonsense. Just good-looking, pretty, attractive characters and designs. And I've said this before, but I don't understand why this is so hard for Western developers. Stop making your characters less attractive on purpose. But getting back on track, are all of these Eastern games perfect? No. I had the occasional frustrations with Black Myth's hitboxes, and I wouldn't say Stellar Blade's story is my absolute favorite, but
Stellar Blade's story is okay. The problem I think Stellar Blade has is that there's too much... there's too many areas that you need to clear, especially whenever you get to that a space station, where you don't have there needs to be a better tempo between bosses and there's a lot of things that I would criticize Stellar Blade on. I think it's a great game, but there are some gameplay functionalities that I think are not great. The open areas suck. I thought the open areas were great, but the pacing is the main problem. Yeah.
here's the thing.
Interesting, a combat later in the game. Great game.
Just like with what I was saying earlier with Wu Chang. They're clearly trying. They're at least putting in the effort, and you can easily see that these developers are working to make something they hope will love. The genuine care still comes through, even if the execution isn't always perfect. Yes, we want to get our money's worth and don't want to buy broken things, but from what I've seen across the internet, we're not expecting perfection, even at the AAA level. If you can see that the developer is valuing...
I really think that I don't know, like people think that it's quirky how Bethesda games don't work properly, which is like kind of, I think it's a little bit revealing. But in a general sense, I think it's true that, like, yeah, if a game has a couple of bugs, nobody really cares about it that much, as long as the game works and plays in a decent function.
And respecting us, we're genuinely pretty forgiving, right? And it's clear that these developers are at least attempting to do that and serve their audience well, even when they don't nail every single thing. The total gap and difference between the approach to development between Eastern and Western devs is just so massive at this point. It's almost like they're going in complete opposite directions of each other. One is obviously right, and the other thinks they're right while blindly charging ahead into the fire. And since we're talking about developers serving their audience, I feel like I can't make this video without at least mentioning that there are still some incredible Western indies who are fighting the good fight. Clair Obscur with Sandfall Interactive, pouring love.
This game was insane. Like, it's actually crazy. I remember playing this game and thinking to myself, like, it was like I had this like with Elden Ring, with Black Myth Wukong, with Expedition 33, like maybe two other games I can't think of right now, like Dark Souls 1. I'm like, oh, okay, I remember why I love video games. And it was just, it's so far and above better and higher quality than basically anything else really that's on the market. It just makes the other games look like a joke. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Yeah, it's not even like it's like a game like this, in my opinion. You can't even compare it to like Assassin's Creed Shadows or something like that. It's not even in the same universe.
Into every story beat, accompanied by great gameplay, sold over 3 million copies, and now they're having meetings with Square Enix. I'm not a card girl, but Balatro was made by one person over 2.5 years and sold over 5 million copies, finding real success with its audience. Animal Well spent 7 years in development to create a highly praised Metroidvania that, during launch month, outsold every first-party Nintendo game on the Switch's eShop. Great job.
Huge Donkey W. Donkey's studio was the one that published this game. Massive success for him. Huge success.
And another Crab's Treasure, the Souls-like from Agro...
Yes, this game was so fucking good. It was insanely fucking good. I am so mad that more people don't know about this game. This is probably one of the best games that I played as a Souls-like. It was so clever. Like, the fact that they found the fucking trash coming down and it being like some sort of prophecy, and it's the back of like, you know, Captain Crunch, and it's a treasure map on it, and you have to follow it to go find something in the game. That's so fucking smart. That's so insanely fucking smart. That's the kind of storytelling that, I think that's the kind of stuff that, inspires people to want to tell their own stories. It's so clever.
Every millisecond counts. Less latency, lag, packet loss, no disconnects to more wins. Experience the future of gaming with the world's first AI-powered game optimization platform. Head to exitlag.com and download now.
Reached 500,000 copies sold in
Good.
just over 3 months, with the developers saying, you can't engineer virality, but you can put heart into the game. Heart. That's what we're talking
What a
about.
good game.
Baldur's Gate 3 has
Amazing
sold over
game.
15 million copies. You can feel how much Larian loves this game along with its audience. Hogwarts Legacy sold over 30 million copies
Oh my
because
God.
someone finally tried to give us the Harry Potter experience we've always wanted. When you look at these
Yeah,
games,
Hogwarts Legacy, I wish they had more content and more like the game was I think it was a 8.5 or so. I think it's probably a 10 if you're a Harry Potter fan, 9.5. But it was a very, very good game.
you can clearly see a difference versus all
The Wizard
Western
game?
flops,
Yeah.
right? The AAA disasters with their massive budgets will continue to be completely outperformed by developers who show genuine love, care, and appreciation.
True.
The pattern is crystal clear. When developers make games for us, we respond, even when the games aren't perfect. That response sends a clear message that developers who try will be rewarded over developers who couldn't care less. And that message
And that's also what's really good about having a international gaming market now, is that now we aren't locked into which version of bald, masculine, female role for an action combat video game do we have to choose. And this is why Western developers are totally changing their perspective on this. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but a lot of these video games nowadays don't have any of that representation at all. It's because nobody wants it. Nobody wants to look that way. Most bald women wear fucking wigs. Why? It's because they don't want to be bald. It's just that simple. And so now that you have, I think, so many examples of it being successful, I don't think we're going back. I really don't. I think that ship has sailed. Like, the age of the woke video game protagonist, having an unclear gender, androgynous character design, I think this is dead. It's totally fucking dead.
creating a beautiful renaissance. You know that moment when you start a game and within minutes you're like, oh, this is going to be...
And here's one of the reasons why it's dead. It's because we've killed it. The amount of negative feedback, hate, criticism, and negativity that these games have received has totally and also the fact that they don't sell well. Like, even if, everybody criticized Genshin Impact, oh, it's for, pedos, or, oh, it's just gambling, it's just a shitty game. It doesn't matter, right? Because the game sold well. These games don't sell well, and all of the players and everybody that has, it's been outspoken and shit on these games, that we have made the developers afraid to release games like this. And that was the goal.
I am overburdened.
Mission accomplished. Go woke, go broke. That's right. There will be more woke games because they're in the pipeline for so long, they have to release them. I think that there will probably be some, but when they are, we will grave dance on every single one of them. Yep, there it is. And I think it's going to keep happening. It's not over yet, but almost. Yeah, there's probably going to be a couple. I mean, I don't think there's never going to be another one, right? But another new developed game like this, very, very, there are just too many examples of failure for any legitimate company to want to invest money into it, knowing that they're going to lose millions of dollars in the process.
Good. That feeling is coming back to gaming. Because when
Yeah, it's just not
developers
gonna
prove
happen.
that actually caring about players works, it gives everyone else permission to care again too. When studios see Black Myth Wukong making $1 billion or Stellar Blade having immediate success on Steam, suddenly
This is the reason why Western developers and Western journalists get so afraid and upset about Eastern games. It's because whenever Eastern games break the mold and they don't follow the fake rules that the people that are in control have created and fabricated, like, oh, you need to have this type of representation, that type of representation, you can't have male and female, etc. As soon as you have a break in the matrix there, it shows everybody else in the market that actually know this isn't the norm, actually know people don't want this, actually know you don't have to design a game this way, and it totally shatters their narrative. That's why they're so argumentative and so hostile towards Eastern games. It's because Eastern games show that their stranglehold on the culture doesn't exist.
With Asana, AI teammates can help level up your goals by connecting them to relevant projects, so every team knows their role in the bigger picture. Asana, the #1 AI work management platform. Try for free today at asana.com.
Hello.
The whole industry has to choose.
That's the
Start
reason.
actually thinking about your players, or watch the developers who do care about us leave you behind. This success is
That's
spreading.
right.
More Chinese and Korean studios are feeling confident that caring about players works at a AAA scale, and they're branching out beyond Souls-likes into...
You're forgetting Naughty Dog's new game. Korea has a non-binary main protagonist, and you can bet that it will make big money. Not that much as Last of Us, but still plenty. Let's say that game makes $100 million. I think it costs probably at 250. The reality is that even if a game sells very well as a AAA release, that doesn't necessarily mean that it generated a profit. That's the issue. And also, like, you're thinking of Intergalactic. There is so much negativity with Intergalactic that I don't think that it can overcome the negativity, no matter what it is. Unless it's like Elden Ring quality gameplay, it's dead.
Every corner of gaming. RPGs, horror games, action titles, bringing that same respect for players wherever they go. Just look at what's coming. Tides of Annihilation, which I'm
it's gonna be
super
good.
excited for. Phantom Blade Zero.
Tides of Annihilation is Final Fantasy 16, but it's a hot girl instead of a hot guy.
Crimson Desert finally launching. Hopefully, Project the Perceiver doing this philosophical storytelling thing. Showa, American Story, tackling alternate history. That feeling is coming through in every trailer, every gameplay reveal. These developers are trying to make something we'll love. And every game we buy is a vote for what kind of industry we want. When we support developers who make games for us, we're funding care over corporate nonsense. And right now, especially...
Of course we are, and I think that's one of the good things. Naughty Dog isn't necessarily known for gameplay, much more story-driven. Nobody wants to be a bald, androgynous girl. It's not a selling proposition to video game players. Sorry, it's not. You want to make that your main character? You're playing that role? People don't want to be that person in real life. You've already lost. That's it. Like, nobody wants to be Will Smith's wife. You can be fat too? Yeah, and I'm just telling you, like, it's the truth. Bad stance? It's true. Nobody wants to be that person.
Our purchases matter because the developers who get it are fighting for us and fighting to keep that focus alive. Here's what I really believe. This isn't East versus West at all.
Kind of is.
It's genuine care and passion versus contempt and disrespect.
That's
Developers
true.
who build with their audience in mind versus studios who've stopped thinking about us entirely. And after all of the chaos that's infected gaming development over the years, I still feel genuinely hopeful. We're proving that our voices...
Video games right now, we're in one of the best states they've ever been in. I have a massive backlog of games that I'm really looking forward to playing, and I never run out of things to play, and I love playing video games. Like, so, yeah, it's endless amounts of video games.
And our wallets do make a difference, and that the future of gaming will be written by the developers who value what the players want. The renaissance is real, and I can't wait to see what comes next.
Well, it's already
Thank
happening.
you so much for making it to the end of this video. Are you feeling this shift too? What are some of your favorite games lately? Ones that clearly had a passion and respect for the player. I would love to hear your thoughts because honestly, my backlog is never big enough. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
There are so many games I haven't had time to play, bro. Like, I have so many games I still need to play. I completely agree with what she's saying. And it's definitely about like certain games feel like they put a lot of work into them and other ones definitely feel like they didn't. I'm going to link you guys the video. Make sure to give her a like. This is the background NPC. I remember I watched one of her videos. Whenever she only had like 300 subs or something. And like now there's like, she has like what, 183,000 subs. So good for her. Absolutely. And there you go. I thought this was a very, very good video. And I think in general, this is what, if you could choose a man or woman character, no other context attached, which one would you pick? I would rather play as a male character because I see myself as the character that I'm playing. Maybe that sounds weird, but that's just the way that I do things. So yeah, it makes great videos. Yeah, I think this is very, very clean and well put together and really good.
Hello.
Ang Sensodyne Deep Clean may glow and cavity protection. May advanced cleaning pa. Shop now!
So I'm very much a homebody, almost embarrassingly so, and weekends are when I have the most time to dive into whatever game I'm currently playing through. Up until about 3 weeks ago, that was Clair Obscur, which, yes, I finally beat, but this weekend was no different. It's midnight on Friday night, and I'm working my way through Stellar Blade while my half-started copy of First Berserker Kazan is staring at me from my backlog. And as I was running around Zion, something just clicked. Both of these games have super fun, fluid combat. Both have very attractive protagonists. Both nail that one more try addiction that keeps you glued to your screen, and they're both Korean made. As I realized this, it hit me. When did Korean developers quietly start dropping all these bangers? I started looking into it, and I guess this has just gone completely under my radar, but developers from China and Korea, places that historically haven't made double or AAA titles, have really been knocking it out of the park lately. And obviously, Japan has always had their share of home runs too. But these days, with how expensive games are becoming and with how awful some of our choices are, this really means a lot. We're naturally gravitating towards the games that respect our time and money, and over the past couple years, Eastern developers have been pulling us in like a black hole, and I'm loving it. It's no secret that Elden Ring and the Soulsborne formula have inspired many of these Eastern developers, and how could they not? Elden Ring was a cultural phenomenon, and yes, I've seen gamers claim Souls-like fatigue, but I think that fatigue only happens when the games are bad. So just like what Mr. Gunn said, it's really just bad game fatigue. Here's the thing though, these Eastern developers saw the genuine love and excitement people had for this genre and thought, we can make something players will love too. Most recently, we saw this with Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. Yeah, there were optimization issues at launch, but you can still see that this smaller team was genuinely trying to make something they thought would resonate with players. And since launch, they've apologized, they've released patches, and they've even given away in-game loot. Come on, they're obviously doing their best and working for us. They made this game for us, the players, and they want us to enjoy it and love it. That's the difference. Some developers are genuinely trying to make games with us in mind, and others just aren't. And the crazy thing is that these Eastern developers haven't discovered some secret formula. They're not doing anything new or groundbreaking. They're just getting back to the basics, making games that respect players and want them to have fun. So all of this got me thinking about the state of our industry. What is happening with Western developers and how are they so far behind their Eastern counterparts? Now, before we get into the whole East versus West thing, let's be real. The gaming industry is getting squeezed from every direction. We've now got credit card companies trying to censor gaming content, games disappearing when servers shut down, hence the Stop Killing Games initiative, rising development costs making everyone risk-averse, live service pressure from investors, the prioritization of modern ideology over good gameplay, and us just paying more than ever for games that we don't actually own. The entire industry is getting hit from all sides. Eastern developers, Western developers, everyone's facing the same stuff one way or another. But how these developers respond is what tells you everything. When faced with the challenges, some developers are doubling down on actually caring about us, the players, because they understand we're the ones who can actually help them succeed, while others have just stopped listening to us entirely. So let's do a little dissecting of what the West has been up to. Now, be warned, it's a little bit depressing, but don't worry, we'll get through it together. And then we'll look at how Eastern developers are truly here to save the day and how not all hope is lost. Going back through gaming history, it's such a bummer because there was a time when Western AAA developers actually worked to make games with us in mind. You could truly feel that they really cared about what we wanted. Remember Assassin's Creed 2? Ubisoft spent years reconstructing Renaissance Italy with historian-level accuracy, all while giving us a beloved protagonist and story that made you care about the world even more. It wasn't just for profit or to push some agenda. The team behind the game clearly had pure love and passion for what they were making, and it was obvious that they wanted the players to enjoy it. BioWare used to obsess over connecting with players. They'd spend months, years, perfecting conversation systems and Mass Effect and Dragon Age because they understood that's how we bond with the characters. Thousands of lines of dialogue, branching narratives that actually mattered. It was all because they knew that's what their players would love. And Rockstar, their track record speaks for itself. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, they are making games 100% catering to the player's experience, which is why I'm really hoping GTA 6 doesn't disappoint. But across the board, going back through gaming history, there are so many examples of games that were made by people who wanted to bring players joy. You could feel the love in every mechanic, every system, every decision. Western AAA gaming was in its golden age. So what happened? Well, looking at the state of the industry right now, it's clear that so many studios have replaced respect and passion with greed, contempt, laziness, and just nonsense. They started shipping broken games at full prices that continue to creep up, cramming in microtransactions and live service monetization, expecting us to pay for unfinished products, then buy the rest as DLC. They've let cultural pressure override what we actually want. Now character designs have to go through committees that are terrified of making anyone attractive or appealing. They prioritize poorly executed modern ideologies over actual compelling narratives and characters. Everything they do at this point is for what the modern audience desires, but where are they? Where is this audience and why aren't they buying these games? I mean, just look at the lineup over the last few years. The Concord team allegedly spent well over their $200 million budget just to make both a game and characters that appeal to no one. And then they shut down after 2 weeks. Dragon Age the Veilguard was in development for 10 years and somehow still launched with insanely awkward and lecture-heavy dialogue in a game where dialogue is everything. The Saints Row reboot, with over a $100 million budget, completely ignored fan concerns and just steamrolled ahead to failure and ultimately the developer's demise. And don't even get me started on Ubisoft. Star Wars Outlaws only sold 1 million copies in its first month despite their massive marketing spend, causing their stock to crash to a 10-year low. Then there's Assassin's Creed Shadows and Skull and Bones. flop after flop with these same awful formulas, costing the company over $178 million in losses for the last year. And their CEO keeps making these tone-deaf comments about it all. He can't be stopped. The list goes on and on. Suicide Squad, Redfall. What's the result of all of this? Mass layoffs across the industry, studios shutting down, and these companies bring all of this upon themselves. They cut corners, push low-effort development, and chase that mythical modern audience instead of truly serving the players who are actually supposed to buy their games. Studios that have been around for decades are getting shut down left and right because they followed these awful formulas, prioritizing monetization over quality, ideology over gameplay. There has been so much money wasted. This is basically the state of Western AAA games. Like I said, depressing. I mean, these are supposed to be some of the best of the best. We're talking millions of dollars here, massive teams, huge historical successes, and somehow so many of their recent titles felt like they were made by people who just didn't care, or at least didn't care nearly enough. And we're at the point now where it's become so easy to recognize that disconnect and the lack of effort. I mean, you can basically tell immediately when you see a new trailer whether or not the game is gonna be a hit or a miss. Yes, still looking at you and that beautiful glistening head. But all of this brings us to good news. When you look at what's been happening in the East, the small teams of developers in China and Korea are fighting to put out double and AAA games while facing these same pressures, and so many of them are succeeding. The passion for what they do is shining through. They're fully focused on respecting their audience and giving us, the players, what we want. Fun fact, Black Myth Wukong's team spent 4 years traveling around China to 3D scan real locations out of pure love and authenticity. You can feel how much they cared about the source material, story, and the characters. I love that little Buddha. And they shared that passion with us at every step. And you know what? It worked. Black Myth Wukong cost around $42 million to make and has sold over 25 million copies. That's what happens when players feel like someone actually cares about them versus trying to force things on them that they don't want. Stellar Blade gave us a beautiful female lead and calculated physics for every single movement, while refusing to compromise on a 60 FPS. The game launched pretty much bug-free too. That's them caring about our experience, and you can feel it in every animation, and the numbers prove it. Stellar Blade hit 3 million copies sold, with 1 million copies on PC in just 3 days when it launched on Steam. I mean, that's a legit accomplishment, right? A pretty protagonist and good gameplay really are an unbeatable combo. Another recent one is Lies of P. They took the Souls-like formula and crafted this haunting, twisted, Pinocchio-like world with such attention to detail and polish that showed genuine love for both the fairy tale and the players who love this genre. The market responded, and Lies of P sold over 3 million copies, hitting 1 million in its first month alone. And this also just gives me a chance to say, Eastern developers across the board are not afraid of making games that look good. Attractive, beautiful characters that aren't trying to check boxes, but are just trying to draw the player in and add to their experience and enjoyment. No intentional nerfing of their looks, no agendas, no ulterior motives, no nonsense. Just good-looking, pretty, attractive characters and designs. And I've said this before, but I don't understand why this is so hard for Western developers. Stop making your characters less attractive on purpose. But getting back on track, are all of these Eastern games perfect? No. I had the occasional frustrations with Black Myth's hitboxes, and I wouldn't say Stellar Blade's story is my absolute favorite, but here's the thing. They are trying. Just like with what I was saying earlier with Wu Chang, they're clearly trying. They're at least putting in the effort, and you can easily see that these developers are working to make something they hope will love. The genuine care still comes through, even if the execution isn't always perfect. Yes, we want to get our money's worth and don't want to buy broken things, but from what I've seen across the internet, we're not expecting perfection, even at the AAA level. If you can see that the developer is valuing and respecting us, we're genuinely pretty forgiving, right? And it's clear that these developers are at least attempting to do that and serve their audience well, even when they don't nail every single thing. The total gap and difference between the approach to development between Eastern and Western devs is just so massive at this point. It's almost like they're going in complete opposite directions of each other. One is obviously right, and the other thinks they're right while blindly charging ahead into the fire. And since we're talking about developers serving their audience, I feel like I can't make this video without at least mentioning that there are still some incredible Western indies who are fighting the good fight. Clair Obscur with Sandfall Interactive pouring love into every story beat, accompanied by great gameplay, sold over 3 million copies, and now they're having meetings with Square Enix. I'm not a card girl, but Balatro was made by one person over 2.5 years and sold over 5 million copies, finding real success with its audience. Animal Well spent 7 years in development to create a highly praised Metroidvania that, during launch month, outsold every first-party Nintendo game on the Switch's eShop. Great job. And another Crab's Treasure, the Souls-like from Aggro Crab, reached 500,000 copies sold in just over 3 months, with the developer saying, "You can't engineer virality, but you can put heart into the game." Heart. That's what we're talking about. Baldur's Gate 3 has sold over 15 million copies. You can feel how much Larian loves this game along with its audience. Hogwarts Legacy sold over 30 million copies because someone finally tried to give us the Harry Potter experience we've always wanted. When you look at these games, you can clearly see a difference versus all the Western flops, right? The AAA disasters with their massive budgets will continue to be completely outperformed by developers who show genuine love, care, and appreciation. The pattern is crystal clear. When developers make games for us, we respond, even when the games aren't perfect. That response sends a clear message that developers who try will be rewarded over developers who couldn't care less. And that message is creating a beautiful renaissance. You know that moment when you start a game and within minutes you're like, oh, this is going to be good. That feeling is coming back to gaming. Because when developers prove that actually caring about players works, it gives everyone else permission to care again too. When studios see Black Myth Wukong making $1 billion or Stellar Blade having immediate success on Steam, suddenly the whole industry has to choose. Start actually thinking about your players, or watch the developers who do care about us leave you behind. This success is spreading. More Chinese and Korean studios are feeling confident that caring about players works at a AAA scale, and they're branching out beyond Souls-likes into every corner of gaming. RPGs, horror games, action titles, bringing that same respect for players wherever they go. Just look at what's coming. Tides of Annihilation, which I'm super excited for, Phantom Blade Zero, Blood Message, Crimson Desert, finally launching, hopefully. Project The Perceiver, doing this philosophical storytelling thing. Showa, American Story, tackling alternate history. That feeling is coming through in every trailer, every gameplay reveal. These developers are trying to make something we'll love. And every game we buy is a vote for what kind of industry we want. When we support developers who make games for us, we're funding care over corporate nonsense. And right now, especially, our purchases matter because the developers who get it are fighting for us and fighting to keep that focus alive. Here's what I really believe. This isn't East versus West at all. It's genuine care and passion versus contempt and disrespect. Developers who build with their audience in mind versus studios who've stopped thinking about us entirely. And after all of the chaos that's infected gaming development over the years, I still feel genuinely hopeful. We're proving that our voices and our wallets do make a difference, and that the future of gaming will be written by the developers who value what the players want. The Renaissance is real, and I can't wait to see what comes next. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Are you feeling this shift too? What are some of your favorite games lately? Ones that clearly had a passion and respect for the player. I would love to hear your thoughts because honestly, my backlog is never big enough. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.
Good day for a date. Bad day for kate. Baka dandruff yan. Mag Head and Shoulders every day. Prevent dandruff and kate from coming back. So you're up to 100% dandruff-free every day. Head and Shoulders.
Burger King King Feast for me. Pick one main and one side. Starts at 89 pesos only.
Are you tired of modern feminist sermons about toxic masculinity delivered by bagel writers? Are you exhausted with hip, woke hackers in your rainbow barf game? Are you going to melt down if you see Deborah Wilson's face in another game? Well, boys, there's a magical place you can escape to, and it's called video games prior to 2018. Fat, cat-owning feminists are hoping you will forget, boys. They're hoping you will forget Metal Gear and Splinter Cell and Twisted Metal and Mega Man and Gears and all of the unfathomably based games we used to play. But we will not forget. I have assembled a list of what I think are the 25 most based video games of all time. Now, how did I define based for this list? To me, a based game simply means a game that rejects modern societal brainwashing. I think a game is based when it rejects woke homopolitics. A game is based when it is pro-masculinity and pro-femininity. A game is based when it has positive views about things like Christianity, religion, nationalism, and the military. A game is based when it's difficult. High difficulty makes a game more based, in my opinion. And finally, a game can also be based just because it's funny and edgy and crude sometimes.
I am overburdened.
A few other considerations. Number one, I'm sorry if your favorite game is not on the list. I'm sure there are thousands of games like EVE Online and Kenshi and some random JRPG that are very based, but I unfortunately cannot play everything, and this is my personal list. Number two, I threw a few oddballs in here. Red Dead 2 is obviously on this list, but you don't want to sit here and listen to me talk about 25 games you already know about. Number three, I tried to include games you can play right now on modern hardware. And number four, I tried to include both multiplayer and single-player games. All right, boys, let's get into it. Number 25, Freedom Fighters.
So I ask you now to take up arms against the evil invaders and yell in their faces that they will never take our freedom!
I have never played a game that needed a reboot as badly as 2003's Freedom Fighters. You are a plumber in New York City, and the country is being invaded and taken over by Russians, so you have to organize your fellow Americans to take up arms and fight back the invading Russian armies. It's the video game version of Red Dawn. This game could never come out today because it's way too patriotic and based for the soy boy beta cucks over at IGN. This would blow their minds. Oh, and the main chick still looks pretty good, even though this came out on PS2. When you capture a building, you get on the roof and claim it by waving the American flag. Guys, this game is going to give you a freedom boner. If you like this kind of game, I would also recommend Homefront and Homefront the Revolution. You can play Freedom Fighters in the Steam store, or you can get an original copy on Xbox or PS2, but there aren't any other ways to play it. Number 24, LA Noire. You guys know I love GTA, but is there anything more based than just being a regular beat cop, minding your own business, collecting evidence, putting people behind bars, and occasionally grabbing a drink with a dame in 1940s LA? If you liked Mad Men, I think you will like LA Noire. Even though Rockstar made it, it is truly the opposite of GTA in every way. You play a good guy doing regular police missions in Los Angeles in the 40s. The facial capture was groundbreaking for its time, and so you actually need to watch people's faces to figure out if they're lying or not, and I've never seen another game do this and actually pull it off. What makes the game so based is that it doesn't take any of our modern sensibilities and project it onto the game world. LA Noire truly shows the time period as it was. Most women are housewives, men are funny and edgy and inappropriate, your partner is super racist, etc. The gameplay can be a bit repetitive sometimes, but I appreciate LA Noire's devotion to a time period and not censoring anything by injecting modern woke nonsense. The remastered version is perfect and can be played on PS5 and Series X. Number 23, the Mafia games. Mafia 1 with Tommy Angelo and Mafia 2 with Vito Scaletta are definitely the best GTA-type games out there that follow a straight sort of Italian mob story. If you wanted a GTA-style game that ditches the humor and silliness and instead gives you essentially a video game version of The Godfather, you're going to get that here. What makes these games so based is that they're steeped in Italian culture, the mob, family, loyalty, sacrifice, and all of these things that we have to deal with in life as men. I think Mafia 3 is okay, but it was weird because it totally ditched the whole Italian mob thing and you play as a black guy in the South. You can watch my video about that. Hangar 13 is about to come out with a new Mafia game in a few months, so replaying these games would get you ready for it. Mafia 1 was completely recreated in 2020 with gorgeous graphics, and it's called Mafia Definitive Edition. The problem is that they censored a few things in this game, like, quote, problematic music and problematic pinup girls were removed. So if you want the real experience, you still have to find the 2002 game. With Mafia 2, I would just play the original 2010 game instead of the 2020 version. They barely improved the graphics at all in the 2020 remaster of Mafia 2, and you know they did some woke censorship in there, I'm sure, as well. Number 22, Tom Clancy's The Division. So it turns out if you take the gear and loot system from the old Diablo games and you combine that with a Tom Clancy game, it's some kind of crack that my body can't handle, because I put 1,500 hours into this game back in 2017. I still pop in from time to time and see people killing each other in the Dark Zone, and it makes me happy. The Division 1 really was a phenomenon. I still think The Division is the coolest concept for a game, and they mostly pulled it off. You arm up and take back New York City from thieves and burglars, but you enter the Dark Zone and screw over other players as well. 2016 was a time when Ubisoft actually put in the effort to make their games gorgeous. All of the cosmetics in the game look realistic, and almost nothing in the game is goofy. But what really hooked me about The Division is the fact that your gear levels aren't normalized when you step into a PvP area. So basically, if you grinded for 100 hours to get the very best guns and armor in this game, it would make you way more powerful than everybody else, as it should. What's the point of grinding for the best stuff if it won't let you blow other players away? I remember Destiny did this thing where it would normalize your gear in PvP modes, and I always thought that was very lame, and it was cool that The Division does not do that. You're probably not going to put 100 hours into this game, so what I suggest doing is picking it up very cheap and just play the Survival DLC. Guys, the Survival DLC, which came out in 2017, was like several years ahead of our modern obsession with roguelikes. You truly have to play this game mode to see it. It is one of the funnest gaming moments I've ever had. I've made several friends playing this game. On the surface, I think The Division seems like a Gears of War clone or something, but there's a lot of beauty and complexity going on here. The Division 2 was super woke and lame, but this one was good. Number 21, Batman Arkham City. Isn't it depressing that this studio's most recent game was Suicide Squad? What makes this game so based is it's telling an authentic, masculine Batman story where he is a total badass, saving Gotham, and there's all these hot temptresses constantly trying to distract him. Also, from a gameplay standpoint, I think Arkham City changed melee fighting games forever and is still the benchmark for this sort of thing. Arkham Asylum felt maybe too small. Arkham Knight, the Batmobile gets boring quick, but Arkham City had that perfect mixture of amazing story, great gameplay, and Batman just cruising around the city, smashing villains' heads into air conditioners. You can play it on Series X or PS5 right now. Number 20, Far Cry 2. So if you want to play a game with an awesome story where you crash land on an exotic island and save your friends that has really fun gameplay, play Far Cry 3. You know, it's a great game, it's a proven formula, and every Far Cry game after 3 basically copied that same formula. But if you want to play African Militia Warlord Simulator in a really hostile country where everything wants to kill you and it's really bleak and nihilistic, play Far Cry 2. What makes this game so based is that it's the only game I've ever played that ditched all the video gamey nonsense and actually makes you believe you are the person in the game doing these actions. You are a militia guy there to kill people. There's no mini games, no leveling up, no skill trees, no weapon skins, no video gamey ass nonsense. Also, you never leave the first person perspective, so the atmosphere and immersion in this game is absolutely peak. Also, it's really, really difficult, and I recommend playing it on the hardest difficulty for peak immersion. Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all fun games with lots of video gamey stuff to do. Far Cry 2 is almost meant to confront you with the bleakness of what it means to be a contract killer in a foreign country. I popped into it recently and I was messing around with the buddy system a bit more. Basically, you have these totally optional buddies in the game you can help out, and they help to make the game sort of less lonely. It also lends a much needed narrative to the game. So the game isn't on PS5, but you can definitely play it on the Series X, the Xbox 360, and the PC, and also the PS3. Also, I should mention that Far Cry 5 is accidentally pretty based as well. Check out the song Keep Your Rifle by Your Side. It's funny because Ubisoft wanted you to hate the cult in this game, and yet this is the most based song of all time, and it's about the villains in the game. So yeah. Number 19, Yakuza 0. I was told Yakuza 0 is basically Japanese GTA, and man, was that person wrong. Yakuza 0 is a prequel to the Yakuza games, and it is unfathomably based. It takes place during the economic boom of the 1980s in Japan, and you follow the story of two exiled Yakuza, Kiryu and Majima, who show up in the other games a lot. The Yakuza games are masters of the likable, warm-hearted criminal who has been disgraced and done wrong. In these games, you're a Yakuza doing gangster stuff, and there's loads and loads of mini-games and side activities. The actual fighting in the game feels a bit dated, and it's almost like you're playing a Dreamcast game, but it can be enjoyable. What makes Yakuza 0 so based is its story. The game has one of the best stories and some of the best voice acting and character development I've ever seen in a game. It's about 30 to 40 hours long, and to me, the gameplay is kind of the least interesting part, so you might just want to watch this game played on YouTube instead of playing it. The game is available on PS4, PS5, Xbox, and all modern systems. Number 18, the Grand Theft Auto series. The thing that makes GTA so based is that it doesn't really care about your feelings or your modern politics or your delicate sensibilities. It is one of the funniest and edgiest game series you will ever play, as I often say on my channel. Now, I doubt this trend will continue with GTA 6 because they have 500 purple-haired lesbians working for them now, but what I can say for sure is that GTA San Andreas, Vice City, GTA 4, and GTA 5 are some of the edgiest and funniest games you can play to this day. I mean, there's a radio station in San Andreas that makes fun of trans people. Come on. Can you imagine that in a game today? Now, I know for some people, going back and playing the original games can be hard because so much has changed with game controls and things like that. If you are the one person on Earth who has never played a GTA game, I would honestly recommend GTA 5. People hate on it because of GTA Online, but the fact is that GTA 5 is still one of the best stories ever in a video game, I think personally. It has really fun gameplay and action, so do yourself a favor and play the campaign for GTA 5, and it's of course available on everything. Number 17, The Saboteur. Did you guys know all it takes is a few edgy Zoomer YouTubers to convince quite a few people that the Nazis were the good guys? Guys, it's cringe. Hitler invaded 20 countries unprovoked. The dude wanted to exterminate all the non-white people. World War II was not about saving the Jews. It was about saving the 390 million people who lived in Europe in 1940. While I do agree that the Nazis are too often the punching bag in every modern story and movie, and many of the things that they were fighting for were admirable, guys, the Nazis are the bad guys. I seriously can't believe that people disagree with me on this. And that's why America and Britain and Canada and Australia had to come all the way to Germany in 1943 and push their shit in. But anyways, all this to say, the Nazis are objectively the bad guys. So moving on, did you ever want to play a GTA game, but it's the 1940s and you're beating up Germans instead and bringing freedom to France? Of course you did. In The Saboteur, you play as scrappy Irishman Sean Devlin, who is a total player and a race car driver, and is working for the French underground to take down the Nazis. The most unique thing about this game was that when you go into an enemy area, everything is red and black, and when you bring freedom to that area, the color returns to it. The story is actually pretty great in this game. Sean is a race car driver using that as a cover, and there's loads of fine women trying to hook up with him constantly. It's fantastic. One thing that's slightly better than GTA here is the parkour system. Saboteur had a pretty great parkour system where you could approach objectives from multiple angles and scale structures. So what is based about the Saboteur? Well, it's based because it reminds me of the golden era of video games, back when games were just escapist male fantasy. You know, you're a race car driver, there's tons of hot women, you're blowing stuff up, and you're killing Nazis. The Saboteur is super underrated. It is a great game. Try to put your hands on it. You can play it on the EA app on PC, but otherwise you'll have to get an original copy for 360 or PS3. Number 16, the Call of Duty series. I would have Call of Duty higher on this list if the recent games had not gone fully gay and woke the past 5 years. If you remember from my recent COD video, Black Ops 6 makes a point of mocking and laughing at its old fans, and so many people keep buying these games even though they're garbage now. But it wasn't always this way. Call of Duty was ultra-based for like 15 years. World at War, the torture scene, the Russians storming the Reichstag and planting their flag, Price nuking the satellite in orbit, being betrayed by General Shepard in MW2, the opening mission in MW1 where you play as President Yasser al-Falani getting assassinated. Call of Duty wasn't just based back in 2007, it was actually pushing the medium forward as well. Can you imagine games like Medal of Honor and Call of Duty coming out today that are unapologetically pro-military and pro-America? I mean, I understand that the modern warfare games are complex and geopolitical and often question the actions of the American government as well, but it wasn't until 2020 or so that Activision began to show its true gay colors and depict America as the bad guys. So first off, if you want to play the old games, make sure you don't give gay communist Activision another dollar, so never buy these games digitally. I would recommend buying a physical copy on Amazon of some of these old games. World at War is probably one of the best campaigns of all time. Modern Warfare 2, another incredible one. If you can get your hands on a physical copy, I think COD World War II from 2017 was actually the last good COD campaign. Just make sure modern woke Activision doesn't get any of your money. Number 15, Gears of War. Marcus Phoenix is unfathomably based. Gears 1 starts with him being broken out of prison to fight the Locust. He was put there because he deserted his post in order to save his father. He's cynical of his own military, yet he knows the COG are humanity's best chance for survival. So it's a complex situation. What makes the first 3 Gears games so iconic is that they are a boots-on-the-ground war story about brotherhood, devotion, duty, and sacrifice. The twists and turns in the story make you feel the bonds of brotherhood. Woke Microsoft in 2016 made Kate Diaz the main character of Gears 4. It's a cringe, pro-abortion, pro-gay, pro-degeneracy, homo story, and I will never buy another Gears game after the original trilogy. And isn't it funny? Microsoft knows these new games are shit. Why do you think they keep remastering and re-releasing the first 3 Gears games? Because it's the only ones that the fans like. I honestly think they need to bring Cliffy B back, pay the dude $10 million and tell him to make more Gears games. Another thing that makes Gears so incredibly based is the difficulty. I challenge you to play Gears 1 and put it on insane difficulty. It is one of the best balanced and most tensely difficult games I have ever played. Even the hardest difficulty on Gears 4 was an absolute joke. This fall, Gears 1 is coming to PS5. I recommend it. Number 14, Metal Gear Solid. The Metal Gear Solid series is literally like taking the plot of every American 80s action movie, running it through Kojima's wacky Japanese filter, and turning it into a game. If you think Kojima is super original, all you need to do is watch a few movies from the 80s and you'll see literally everything from Metal Gear Solid was copied from a movie. Now, I don't hate this at all. 80s action movies are the best movies, so the dude copied very well. These games are so based, firstly, because they single-handedly created the stealth genre. They popularized games playing like movies, and of course, they introduced us to the ultra badass Solid Snake who all the ladies want. What starts as a secret mission in Shadow Moses Island becomes substantially crazier as we are introduced to a team of enemies that have paranormal powers and want to kill us. While MGS is one of the most influential games of all time, I find it can be a bit tough to go back to because of the weird controls. The only Metal Gear game with modern controls is MGS 5, and a lot of the fans feel like it's one of the weakest entries in the series. So while the first 3 games are obviously the best, their controls can be very weird to get back into. So I'm really hoping Metal Gear Solid Delta is good so that we can kind of have the best of both worlds, play MGS 3 and have a modern control style. Number 13, Deus Ex. Deus Ex, which came out in 2000, is still held up by many as the greatest PC game of all time. You play as JC Denton working for UNATCO to stop global terrorism. Back when that wasn't like a controversial thing to do and everybody thought it was pretty cool. Guys, can you imagine a AAA game coming out in 2025 where you fight terrorism? The men who wear dresses would all collectively soil their tampons if this happened. Deus Ex is so based because it's an immersive sim, it's a game about fighting terrorism where you are augmented with robotic tech in a futuristic world where basically every conspiracy theory ended up being true. Now, I mean this with 100% respect for the first game. Unless you played a ton of games on PC in the 90s, I think you're going to find it very, very hard to play Deus Ex 1 on PC. No amount of mods or textures or updates is going to change the fact that I think time has not been kind to this game. That being said, if you are new to the Deus Ex games, I recommend starting with Human Revolution from the 360 era or Mankind Divided from the PS4 era. These are both honestly really good games that are some of my favorites of all time. These stories have tons of twists and turns. You are a robotic badass killing machine trying to rid the world of terrorism. They are awesome. Now, you should know these aren't fast-moving run-and-gun first-person games. Because they are immersive sims, they are meant to be harder and played just a bit slower. What I like about Deus Ex Mankind Divided is the game forces you to slow down and take in your environment, and it's not just about running through a level as fast as possible and killing everything. Number 12, Red Dead Redemption 2. What can be said about this game that hasn't already been said? It was Dan Houser's magnum opus before he left Rockstar. Arthur Morgan is one of the most based, badass characters in any game ever. I've talked to many guys who literally have just said because of how bad modern games are, they're probably just going to play Red Dead 2 forever. I also have a personal theory that this game, which came out in 2018, is probably going to be the last truly incredible AAA big budget game that we get, ever. In case you haven't noticed, AAA big budget studios are shuttering right now because they're filled with woke activists. All the base games being made right now are by smaller developers and indie developers, and so it's highly unlikely we will ever simply get a game this good again. There is a small amount of wokeness in this game. People have pointed to the fact that as Arthur, you are forced to celebrate feminists in this game, which is bullshit. Also, some people have pointed to Sadie Adler as kind of an annoying girl boss. Outside of just being really fun, RDR2 is one of the most beautiful games of all time. Every leaf, every tree, every gunshot, every animation is gorgeous, and I'm pretty sure we will never get a game like this again. Number 11, the Uncharted Trilogy. The Uncharted games follow the story of treasure hunter Nathan Drake. These games are so based because they're masculine, you're on an adventure, you have a love interest, Elena, you have a mentor, Sully. And the games at heart are about not getting so caught up in your goals and dreams that you neglect and forget about the people around you. These games are so based because they are packed with just being a regular bro. Nathan Drake is funny and likable, and the stories are amazing. If you're thinking of going back and playing one, I recommend Uncharted 2. I was playing it just the other day for a few hours, and it holds up really well. While Uncharted 4 is one of the most stunning-looking games of all time, Bagel Man Neil Druckmann had his hands all over it, so you know it's got woke nonsense injected all over the place. Also, Uncharted 4 was just depressing compared to the first three games, which were much more fun and lighthearted. The Uncharted DLC with the gay black girl boss is awful. You can play the first three Uncharted games on PC and on PlayStation. Number 10, the God of War Trilogy. Type this into AI. Does Kratos grow as a character during the first three God of War games? And the answer comes back, nope. I read this cringy line somewhere. He's no longer just the God of War. He's the God of growth. Are you kidding me? See, what a lot of people loved about Kratos is just how completely unhinged and rage-filled he is in the first three games, and this rage to destroy his enemies never goes away. Do I recommend being this way in real life? No, but it can be fun to be that in a character in a video game. And although God of War 2018 looks beautiful and it's all about Kratos growing as a person and being a dad and blah, 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 Sony kind of cucked him, didn't they? Like they turned Kratos into a soft millennial dad. Even David Jaffe, the guy who created the game and is a total leftist, hated what they did to Kratos. He thinks Kratos forever needs to stay this dude who just hooks up with lady gods, kills mightier gods, and is just a rage-fueled psychopath. I would say I'm torn on it. Yes, in my personal life, I want to grow as a person and follow Jesus and be a Christian. But what I do on a TV screen isn't real life. It's a video game, and sometimes it's fun to be a rage-filled psychopath in a video game. Like, guys, is anybody getting mad at Super Mario Brothers for property destruction? Like, come on, some of y'all need to chill out. I guess what I'm saying is video games don't have to be this sort of narcissistic projection about what's going on in your life. That video games can just be like a fun thing that you do, you know? Number 19, PUBG. So I know this is going to trigger people, but PUBG on console and PC is one of the most based multiplayer games you could possibly play. Still. Now, have they recently added a bunch of corny skins and bright colors to PUBG? Sure, but all I do is kill those people. The reality is that PUBG was and always has been a military sim. I'm not joking. Look it up. PUBG started as a mod for Arma. When I'm playing it, we use military tactics in every game we play. PUBG has realistic physics, realistic bullet drop. PUBG doesn't have gay auto aim or aim assist. I've always said PUBG is the Dark Souls of shooters because it's freaking hard. I have probably put 1,200 hours into this game over the years with my friends, and it is still to this day a game I play a lot because it is unfathomably difficult and it has a very high skill ceiling. Crafton has never added anything to this game to make it unbalanced. It is still at heart a very realistic game. Basically, you just need to be a badass and you need to get good in order to be good at this game. Are there gay dances and emotes now? Sure, but none of that changes that the base game is pretty much perfect. Crafton owns PUBG and they're a Korean company, and Korea is pretty based. Fortnite copied PUBG, Warzone copied PUBG, Gapex copied PUBG, but PUBG is like a 1967 Mustang. It will always be the GOAT. It is the original that everyone copies. PUBG is the only Battle Royale game that I actually recommend. Oh, and the mobile version is trash. I'm not defending the mobile version at all. The mobile version is complete dog water, dog slop. Number 8, Splinter Cell. I put this game higher up than Metal Gear Solid because it is nationalistic and pro-military, meaning that it is more based than Metal Gear. When you talk about Giga Chads, the pinnacle Giga Chad is probably Sam Fisher. Silently throat-punching terrorists, dropping down from pipes and snapping necks. Splinter Cell is considered by many to be the greatest stealth game of all time. Like, guys, what a different world 2002 was. Back when Ubisoft only made based military games. Like, look how far we've come. We know the real reason Ubisoft hasn't made a Splinter Cell game the past 10 years is because there aren't any biological males left at the company anymore. You have to have a penis to make a game like this. Do you remember how you could grab people in this game and you would see their panicky face and they would just start telling you stuff? So good. I was playing Chaos Theory from 2005 recently, and what I forgot is these games are basically immersive sims. That's the genre where you can pretty much interact with everything in your environment and use it to your advantage. Now, I will say, going back to the original controls in order to play these games can be tough. The controls in the old Splinter Cell games on PS2 and Xbox have not aged well. I recommend playing Blacklist from 2013. I think it's available on most modern consoles. It's still a really, really good game. They just kind of streamlined the gameplay and made it a bit simpler to play. What I think we desperately need is a Splinter Cell reboot where the controls kind of feel maybe like Ghost Recon Wildlands or Breakpoint. A new Splinter Cell game with updated controls would be incredible. But again, no men at Ubisoft anymore, so it's probably not going to happen. Number 7, Halo. Can you imagine a pro-war, pro-America video game coming out today and it being as wildly successful as Halo was? If you want to see the complete decay of the video game industry, all you need to do is go back and play the Bungie Halo games and ask, who made these? I mean, it would be like a AAA game developer in 2025 coming out with a pro-Trump video game. Like, never gonna happen. And this is because the entire video game industry are child lovers, they're pathetic, and they're gay, and they're woke now. Now, I understand that Halo is a metaphor, but what is indisputable here is that the Covenant were meant to symbolize radical Islamic fundamentalism, and Master Chief and the UNSC were meant to symbolize America. So in a very real way, Halo is about the war in the Middle East. I'm sorry, it just is. Now, I know all Islamic people are not like the Covenant. I think it's great when Islamic culture is not violent, and I have a ton of fans who are Islamic, just to be clear. But the evil which Master Chief and UNSC are combating in these games is a radical religious devotion that leads to the killing of innocent people. Hopefully, we can all agree that's wrong. And of course, as you will remember, at the end of Halo 3, the Arbiter locks arms with Master Chief, as it were, so that they can both face and fight the real enemy, the Flood. But of course, ever since Halo 4 in 2012, Halo has been fully gay and woke. But the original Halo games were filled with Christian imagery. They were pro-America games. They were anti-religious fanaticism games. I could go on and talk about how Halo changed console shooters forever, how Halo invented recharging health, how the game pioneered multiplayer console shooters, but I'm going to stop there. Master Chief is based as hell, and the original Halo games, being Halo 1, 2, 3, and Reach, are based as heck. Number 6, Dark Souls. Instead of talking about Bloodborne and Elden Ring and all of the spin-offs, I will just talk about the OG FromSoft game that started it all. Not Demon Souls, but Dark Souls. I will never forget playing this game and getting stuck at a boss and my simple self thinking that I could just grind the area for a few hours and become more powerful and easily beat the boss. Oh, what a fool I was. Dark Souls and all of the From Software games are so good because they only have one difficulty and they simply force you to get better at the game. There's no easy way out. There's no lowering the difficulty. There's no grinding to become more powerful. You simply have to get good, as they say. And this, boys, is why Dark Souls is so masculine and so based and so popular. People don't actually want a game to be nice to you. People secretly want a game to be punishingly hard. I think that is the secret of Dark Souls' success. Number 5, and we're down to the home stretch now. The 5th most based game of all time, Doom. There is possibly no character more based than the Doom guy. According to his creators, he is canonically Catholic. All of the games are about him going to hell and killing all the demons. The 2 villains in Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are both feminist women. So I haven't gotten a chance to play Doom the Dark Ages through to the end yet, but I'm hearing that Doom Guy isn't even the star of his own story, and there's probably an ugly girl boss in it. But what I can say emphatically is that from a standpoint of game difficulty and general basedness,